across the world.
We are so honored to have Mr. Zhang Keke, the former Deputy Director of Shenzhen Science and Technology Bureau, as the moderator, together with Mr. Bao Yu and Mr. Duncan Wong to the stage. Mr. Li Dongyang and Jia Xibei of Aaudaque will join the panel by video conference. The panel theme is cross-border data flow.
非常高兴在这个场合下，来我们做一个稍微的圆桌讨论。
To be here to join this panel discussion. So I'm an IT guy. I'm engaged in meta universe and big data. So today I actually wear very casual clothes because I'm not an investor or a financial guy. So the two guests, they are here later, they will deliver their speech. We have two speakers. Bao Yu is a very important guest. He is also a member of the Web 3.0 Association. And Mr. Wang Song is the founding member of Abelian and also the CEO of CryptoBLK. And also we have invited Mr. Wang Yuehua from Deding Innovation. And also Li Dongyang is also joining us here today. So Dongyang, are you here with me? Okay. So Dongyang introduced the Data Exchange Center in Shenzhen. And also our big data exchange is also put into operation today. The topic for the discussion is cross-border data transfer. And yesterday, we have unveiled the Hong Kong Shenzhen Data Fusion Platform, and also the director for the Supercomputing Center and then Professor Fong also joined the ceremony. So I prepared a question for the panel discussion. I once asked Professor Li, when we talk about data transfer, national safety, security is very important. Everyone pays attention to data security. If companies trust each other, if we can package our data, we need more channel for transmission. And I also asked the guest days ago, for overseas guests, they care more about the security of personal data and information. So if we want to accelerate the transmission and provide more channel for transmission, security should be our major concern to be addressed. So in terms of the data cross-border transfer, I would like to hear from your opinion. And Professor Li Dongyang mentioned about the data transaction center in China, in Shenzhen. So under this background, with a growing transaction of the data and transfers cross-border data, how can we better manage that? What is your observation? I engaged in development of the blockchain, and now we do cybersecurity. You mentioned about data security, especially for cross-border data transfer. This is very important issue, security. We've been now doing some data security project. So today I want to introduce to you two aspects of data security. One is the security of the data itself, another is the data privacy. So these are very relevant with safety of the data. In terms of the data safety or data security, we use encryption to ensure its safety and security. Now we use the encryption technology developed in 1980s, 1990s. So mostly we use the traditional technology like the RSA technology or ECC, elliptic curve cryptography. But we are now trying to develop some post-quantum standard. So the encryption algorithm will not only be ensuring the safety at this moment, but also to ensure the safety of data transfer and transmission 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So the post-quantum era encryption standard is something we are now doing. Second, about the privacy. For cross-border data transmission and transfer, in terms of privacy, the personal data privacy protection is very important. So how can we enable the manufacturer to get the data they need, but at the same time to ensure privacy of individuals? This is what we do, fine-grained privacy preserving. So it means the private data, we can use modules to encrypt it. And then based on the need for each module, we will decrypt it partially. So we have done some post-quantum standard and technology development so that in terms of privacy protection, we can ensure its safety or security 5 years or 10 years from now. This is a great opportunity to learn. I think there are two things. One is standard formulation. Another is regulation. So technology are very important for us to formulate the standard and the regulation, right? Mr. Bao, you've been promoting blockchain, from blockchain to supercomputing, and for Web 3.0 in Hong Kong. You are the only member in the Web 3.0 Association. After joining the association, would you like to share with us what are the opportunities and what are the obstacles we need to overcome in the future? So talking about cross-border, I actually cross-border a lot frequently from Shenzhen to Shanghai, then from Shenzhen to Shanghai. So cross-border is very important. In 11th April, Hong Kong established Web 3.0 Association. I'm the deputy president of the association, and I'm the only one who is not actually a Hong Kong citizen in the association, assuming such an important role. For Web 3.0, the structure is completely new. It's completely innovative, but the technology, the infrastructure are backward, lag behind. For Web 2.0, for the e-commerce, TikTok, Douyin, their structure have already been a little bit outdated. Later, I would like to introduce to you why. But you see, there are two armies. One is the Revolutionary Army, but it has very limited and outdated arms. But another arm has advanced weapons. But I think for China and Hong Kong, this is a great opportunity, because if we still do Web 2.0, we may be difficult to overcome and surpass US, because their chip technology are actually developed in Silicon Valley. They have the advantage. And when the new rules actually developed,
it's impossible that one country or one company decides the framework. Otherwise, we have to do the 4 nanometer and 3 meter, and it's hard for us to supersede USA. I will explain later why in this aspect Hong Kong can really resolve the legal framework and issue and globalization or investment or funding issue. Shenzhen has the best engineers to do a lot of work. So yeah, thank you. Bao Yu just mentioned that Hong Kong and Shenzhen. He mentioned his on the Hong Kong platform. He feels Shenzhen has its values. In the Shenzhen, he feels it has a lot of other opportunities to try new different things. A special opportunity is that the State Council in this August, State Council issued a planning for the Shenzhen and Hong Kong partnership. And really, it's just that Shenzhen helps the Hong Kong to set up as an international AI center. Do you know about that partnership? So, in right somewhere between Hong Kong and Shenzhen, there was some land of Shenzhen. After there was nine, there are some lands which are in between, in Hong Kong and Shenzhen. So after returning restoration of the Hong Kong to China, Shenzhen land still belongs to Shenzhen, and then So then they decided that there was 0.87 million square meters of land which belongs to Hong Kong and Li Dongyang, and our deep think it's in the and right across the river is really close. So Dongyang, you look at all these things, and you are so close to Hong Kong. So do you think there was any challenges and opportunities there? So firstly, and actually in Hetao, in a place what is Hetao, I have good. I feel the technology is progressing, and firstly, the environment is really good for science and technology. And secondly, data transfer and data application are very much in high demand, which means that which pushes our institute to conduct attempts and researches in data transfer. Some Alcas has shared something, and therefore we believe that like you mentioned, in the between Shenzhen and Hong Kong, we are trying to find new opportunities, which include the which includes the possibility of setting up special channels and promoting the content transaction and flow, and also for special scenarios. I said, especially for definitions of cross-border data flow, is it possible that we can take leverage Shenzhen as a reformer open up city and leverage the advantage of Hong Kong, which is also very open? Can we leverage these two cities' strengths to create regulatory frameworks? And can we explore new possibilities for data transfer and data communication between Shenzhen and Hong Kong? And that is something we're trying to promote and do. I heard that last week there is a Hong Kong data center which just setting up in your platform, sitting down in your platform. What does it do? So the Hong Kong company you mentioned, we are the data provider, data service provider, because there needs to be such a role. And data provider, a data service provider, if you look at we do not use these kind of data services very much, but it is needed in the future. So business that data service provider do is that it makes sure that for cross-border companies, we provide product analysis and transaction information update and marketing analysis, and it looks at the it looks at overseas or cross-border status quo for the transaction, so that we can help them to analyze and design the status quo and marketing methodology. And we know that only when there was transaction and quick flow of data factor can we encourage our development. Shenzhen and Hong Kong, after reform under for 4 decades, and these two cities should be very connected. So it's easy for us to go into cities from Hong Kong to Shenzhen and vice versa. And the tax will not be a problem. But now there was the devices, the goods, and also the data. So when look at this new data transfer, do you have any cases saying that you have made breakthroughs? And if we have not taken back breakthroughs, and what are the bottlenecks, and what are the problems, what are pain points, what are the hindrances? And so in this data integrated flow, what are the success stories, and what are the good experiences you can share, and what will be the big problem they have mentioned? Let me just share with you a little bit on something about blockchain. For instance, in China and outside China, let me give an example. For instance, in business financing, so we are in Hong Kong, our business in Hong Kong. In past 5 or 6 years, we try to serve tries to do the blockchain platform for financing, and we contacted several trade financing companies. Let me just talk about the challenge, then we'll talk about the solution. The challenge is that maybe you know it. We have different workflows, and everybody has his or her own workflow, and standards may also be different from company to company, from person to person, and the institution and culture are also different. So when we do this kind of international trade financing and system building for that, we use the Western method, which is when we successfully build it, we try to match it with China, mainland China. We saw some challenges. The challenge can be really big, especially when if we look at back on past 3 years of COVID lockdown, we saw the challenge is really big and there. But at the same time, we saw another side happening. That is, how do we tackle these challenges? The solutions or the is that we will have set up several API standards that make sure that from a global perspective, we offered very global standard so that the domestic and foreign workflows of financing can be well knitted and connected. And for instance, with blockchain technology, we can make sure that inside and outside China, this data integrity can be maintained. Still, we can make things work. And on this side, we believe it's hopeful because we can use these corporate level blockchain to break down the barrier between inside and outside. So biggest difference is the institution and culture, which is really something. Once two things come together, good things together, we found they cannot marry. So we can use a corporate method or internal structure and a standard to make sure that they can be modularized. How about you, Bao? Okay, I will give a speech. So they have the speech for that. And I believe that the most important thing is that we are in such a historical juncture. And now Hong Kong and Shenzhen are well developed together. They are talking to each other all the time. The most important thing is we need to have some success stories. If we do not do success stories, if we are always thinking it's forever, right? So let's give some success cases. We believe we have opportunities. If we are still waiting for the complete structure, then we go, that's hard. We must explore, we must innovate. So we always say we have three things. First, we have misunderstanding, saying that this is it, that's it. And those cultural differences and comprehension side, the differences. Second, we have blind spots. We always think that blockchain may, because we were bitten by the blockchain, we don't want to try it. But blockchain is an instrument. People do not know much about blockchain. There are lots of people out there. If we just remove these, if we avoid, if we can just make sure people know about these, know these things, what is blind spot, what is good, what is bad, what is misunderstood, it will be better for us to use the blockchain. So which point do you think is about to become materialized and become reality? So which point do you think is hard for breakthroughs? Which hard point is the pain point? The hardest point you mentioned, the hardest point actually has been mentioned before. That is, so far, all these data requirement and data cross-border flow requirement is very clear. What is unclear is the key data identification. For critical data or key data identification. Like you mentioned, regulatory bodies or supervisory bodies have a very good comparative standard, which is based on the industrial companies. We need to make sure that we can offer suggestions to the administrative bodies, telling them that in this industry, which are must-haves in this business flow and which are the critical data for, and in this way we can really remove the access worry. I just mentioned that in blockchain we have used the blockchain. We have the blockchain, and this is very good for privacy computing and everything else. We also have good explorations. The core is to do some tackling and how we should tackle these things and give solutions so that our data can just be very quickly flowing around. So you mentioned that supervisory body and industrial breakthroughs and some sort of market-based education and the social norms to streamline. I was just reminded of a case 4 decades ago, that is in Shenzhen. When Shenzhen was founded, I think it was 1980, Shenzhen became a city, and there was a Shekou industrial park. It has a system. And when we set up this Shenzhen city, we did not have money, because Deng Xiaoping said that we did not have money for you. You just try to blaze a trail, and the first money is coming from a land, a plot from Luohu district. And before that, in mainland China, nobody knew how to auction off this plot. Nobody knew how to do commercial risk, because this has not been done before. We invited a guy from Hong Kong, and that is what I said. That a lot of zones, a lot of injunctions are defined by law, but the laws are falling behind. That expert is Mr. Liang Zhengying, and he offered suggestions. So I say that Hong Kong has more international standards, and with Hong Kong and Shenzhen connection, we can have better connection due to time limit. You have 50 minutes for each. And is there any question from the audience? We can take 2 questions. Any question? 有没有任何 any question? Hello, I'm Dora from Gangshenchang. I know Eddie. So a simple question. In cross-border data flow, in your opinion, so we are taking the approach of white list. And I talked to many friends in the industry. I talked to scientists. They feel that it should be a data SAR. And when the data enters, there is no limit. When data leaves China, it is integrated with the data, right? So when it leaves, it must go through the customs and digital customs. So what do you think about the SAR, special administrative region? So you may give speeches. So whitelist was really the result of a negotiation in WTO with the USA.
So when you open up, there will be foreign direct investment. So on top of the whitelist, so what we try to do is not to weight it. First is to jointly formulate the standard, form the common standard. Then we will have a yes and no judgment. So for the enterprise need will be our focus, and it do not involve individual or political or public opinion. So we can actually practice the enterprise demand as the target for services. And also, we hope that Hong Kong can pass the channel for data transmission officially, because in Shenzhen, well, the custom entrance and exit will also be more convenient in the future, as Hong Kong is planning to actually coming up with some measures to facilitate the process for the cross-boundary entrance and leave between Hong Kong and Shenzhen Great Bay Area. We do hope that in the future things will be much convenient, and also we hope that our Hong Kong Shenzhen supercomputing center will be built by the end of this year, and then we will have more convenient pathway for transmission between Hong Kong and Shenzhen, and then we can actually replicate this model to our other areas.